round. Hello everyone and welcome along to the closing stages of qualifying for round number 4 of the Inside Line Racing League season. First off, I'm Ginger Andy and I'm going to apologise for being very late. Yes, it was a 5 gig update. Yes, I got caught out. Yes, I should have checked for it, but I didn't, and I'm an idiot. Joining me in the commentary box and has been waiting patiently, we have James. James, it's good to have you with us. Late on my part, my bad, but it's good to have you.
Yeah, well, hopefully these cars will be going a lot faster than Andy's connection, or in which case update around this Baku City circuit. It's great to be back here. We've been a bit on and off, me and Andy, this season so far. We hope to change that. We can't promise anything, but it's been a bit on and off. It's been a bit like a broken record, as it were. But we're in the closing stages, as he says, of qualifying around this fantastic circuit in Azerbaijan. And at the moment, it's, well, really how it has been for a lot of this season. Mercedes up the front. But no Alfa Romeo in sight just yet. There's a lot of different strategies going on with the tyres in this one.
Yeah, well, it's going to be a really interesting session, that is for sure. And as I just get myself all sorted out here, as you can see, we've got the soft, the medium and the hard compound, of course, as we mentioned. And yes, as you also mentioned there, James, on and off we have been so far this season. It's good to be reunited with you. I think the last time we were together was the Bahrain Grand Prix. But of course, as I'm sure you guys are all well aware now, as the game has moved on and the Formula 1 has moved on, soft, medium, hard. That is just the way it is for every single Grand Prix now, and that makes things much less confusing. It is at the moment, OMG is Joe on top with a 1 minute 36.9. Veloci surprise 2/10 off him with a 1:37.1. We have got 4 people not here. Most notably, you could say, is Tara Limitless. He's away on holiday at the moment. But yeah, 2 minutes and 50 seconds to go in qualifying, and we have got a few cars heading round the racetrack about to start their final runs in qualifying. And what is really a challenging circuit, James. It's never one that I've been able to get used to, as Merceau comes up to the line to complete a lap. Let's see where he can go. Currently 4th quickest, he's coming into the pits. He's abandoning that effort, and will he have time to get back round again, James? That's going to be quite tight for him, isn't it?
It will be. You have to come in, well, straight into the pits and straight back out again as well. So, yeah, it's not going to be ideal for him. But yeah, as I was just saying, there's loads of different tyre strategies going on here. There's so many guys who are doing their fast laps, it seems, on the mediums, and there's guys at the top all doing it on soft tyres. So it's a bit of a gamble, bit of a decision to make for these guys, but obviously it may pay dividends for those who do decide to go on those medium tyres.
Yeah, João Pedro just come to the end of his lap. He is on the medium tyre at the moment, and it is enough to go 8th quick. It's a 1 minute 39.4. I'm going to give you the tyres that's currently fitted. There you go. A lot of drivers on the medium compound. Jam Pancakes, VSR Fabs, everyone down outside the top 5 on the mediums, apart from Alper Bal in 14th position. So he's the only man that it's not. Plenty of drivers about to start their flying laps on the soft. You've got Drelex up in 5th place at the moment. He is on the soft compound. We've got Merceau in the pits. So the 2 Ferraris have both gone for the soft. Snazzy Evening in 3rd place. He's out there on the softs, as is Surprise, as is Joe. They're on their out laps. Who is out there on a quick lap at the moment? Langman is one of them, as is Drelex, as is Reynolds. Let's have a look at Reynolds coming towards the end of his current lap on the medium compound tyre. Now, I put a tweet out about 20 minutes ago when I should have been prioritising an update, but yeah, EVR Reynolds, once upon a time a front row man around here in the Alfa Romeo, and he's heading up to the line. I don't imagine he's going to put it on the front row here today. Let's see what he goes. He does, though, go up into P5, and that, on the medium tyre, is a pretty reasonable effort, James.
Bonsai and Baku for Reynolds. A really good effort from the Renault. Actually gets ahead of Drelix on the soft tyres. In the Ferrari, who's also on a lap as well at the moment. P1R Brown's moved himself into the 6th place, but that Ferrari of Drelix was one of the first on the soft compound tyres to complete a lap.
Yep, absolutely. Langman is another one out there. He's coming towards the end of his lap, and he's got a fantastic toe as well, coming off the back of the Red Bull directly in front. Where's he going to go with this one? No, it's not particularly quick. So let's go to the man you said was on a hot lap. Who was it again?
Drelex.
It was the Ferrari, wasn't it? Drelex. Yeah, he's been bumped down to P8 in the order, and he's now going again. Can he get ahead of those medium runners? He needs to find a full second to get ahead of Reynolds, who's put a really solid effort together on that medium tyre. So Drelex now in that Ferrari, which of course, if it was was on equal cars, or sorry, not on equal cars, would have a great advantage down that straight. The Ferrari in real life, so quick in a straight line, but it is equal. Drelix up to the line, and it's an unspectacular P9. No major improvement from him. He improved by 3/10, but didn't improve in terms of position. So he's ninth. Snazzy's third. What are you seeing out there? Yeah, look at them. Wow, what's going on there? Wow, yes, there is contact there. Drama down at Mercedes. Joe and Surprise in each other's way. Surprise, I think, has got front wing damage, perhaps from that. Joe off into the runoff area. What is going on there between the two Mercedes teammates? Toto will be absolutely furious, James. What was that all about?
That's very, very peculiar. You don't often see that in league racing. You don't see it between teammates either. Very, very bizarre that they both went off the same corner. Joe seemed to lock up actually into turn 3. That put his teammate off massively. It looked like they were giving a toe to each other while I look at things. And it just didn't work. And that's what's the big consequence when you're that close together on the racetrack.
Absolutely. Sierra Rosberg's backed out of his latest lap. I don't imagine Surprise will be going any quicker, so it looks like Joe's going to be on pole. But is that a reminder or a flashback to Monaco 2014 when Rosberg was on pole and he blocked his teammate? It kind of is, isn't it? Langman, though, he's got a fantastic toe from Sierra Rosberg, and maybe even Jason as well, as they two race up to the line. What kind of position they're going to go? Langman improves to 7th. Jason stays 13th, but that is a good effort from Langman on the medium tyre, and I think that is that for qualifying. Apart from Infamous, who is in the final sector, he's going very, very slowly, but not quite the big battle we were expecting at the end for pole position, James, but certainly a major talking point, and as I just mentioned, reminded me of Rosberg against Hamilton at Monaco 2014, didn't it?
Yeah, I just can't believe that that's happened. That's so bizarre that they get in each other's way like that. I mean, surely Joe locks up in that corner, turn 3, got to get out the way of his teammate, who's going to be obviously on his fast lap there, Surprise. That's a big, big shock for those two down at Mercedes, and it's even bigger shock when you consider Sierra in the Alfa Romeo is on the back of the grid. He won last time out in China.
Yeah, incredible. Absolutely incredible. All sorts of things going on. The big talking point, what was going on at Mercedes. Run us through that order, James, but wow, there will be a big debrief at Mercedes before the race, I'm sure.
Certainly will, and it's Joe who gets the better of his teammate Veloce Surprise, which I'm sure will come into scrutiny come the end of this one. And Saturday evening will start from third, if he gets back into the lobby, that is. He starts from third ahead of Morso, I'd say, with a good effort down in 4th place, or up in 4th place. Reynolds gets 5th and the best of the medium runners ahead of Jam Pancakes. A good effort again by him in qualifying. Langman 7th, P1R Brown 8th, Infamous 9th. It's Jared Pedro in the top to round out the top 10. Drolix couldn't do the best on softs in 11th, and Zelchi, Jason, Rosberg, Alphabol and Sierra, last time out race winner in China. Wow, he only starts at the back of the grid. He's got some overtaking to do around a track where you definitely can overtake cars.
Yeah, so very interesting situation that we have here then. So, of course, as we keep talking about that Mercedes issue that's going on there, and of course, the fact that Sierra, who is the big championship rival in the early races to Veloce Surprise, right down at the back of the field. It is a street circuit, so you would think it is hard to overtake, but you can't really say that about Baku, can you, James? Plenty of overtaking chances, particularly down into turn 1.
Absolutely. There's been a couple of sort of murmurs as to say what sort of strategies these guys will do. Of course, we've seen the difference in qualifying where some have decided to go for the softs and a lot have decided, others, most of the field, have gone for the mediums. But there is the balance between some people I've heard doing maybe a 2-stop strategy here. No, maybe not as basic as the 1-stop. I expect to see more 1-stops, but do not be sort of surprised if you do see that 2-stop occur.
Okay, so 2-stop, I presume that would be, what would that be? Medium?
I think,
sorry,
soft, medium, soft.
Soft, medium, soft.
Yeah. Or medium, soft, depending how you want to. Yeah, who knows? It may be a 1-stop, but 2 stops are possible.
Yeah, that will be interesting to see, James, if we do get that outcome. We always love a race, don't we, where we get a mixture of strategy. I mean, you just look back at the last real-life Formula 1 race. I'm sure everybody's watched it. It's not really a spoiler, is it? But, I mean, you know, what happened in Hungary? Verstappen 1-stop, Hamilton 2. It changed the complexion of the race, who was going to win. And we love to see that in Formula 1. And, you know, I feel like on the F1 games the last couple of years, we've been robbed of that opportunity. But maybe today, as you say, with the strategy situation, as I've got 2 Mercedes still sitting on the grid, that can't be right. But, yeah, I mean, I think that could make things very interesting indeed. So OMG, it's Joe. He starts from pole. You can argue controversially ahead of Veloci Surprise in second. Snazzy Evening starts this race from third, but for some reason I can't see three of the drivers. I don't know what you're seeing, James, but I've got Joe and Surprise on the front row and Snazzy not there. Have you got the same problem?
Yeah, Joe and Surprise, basically, they tapped each other going to the first corner on the formation lap, which disqualifies you.
Okay.
And Snazzy Evening is lagged out of the session. So he won't be starting the race.
Okay, that's not good. Hopefully he can get back in then. Yeah, he's saying in the chat that he can't take control. He's lost connection. Hopefully we can get him back in. I'm going to try and do that now. I don't know if I've got Snazzy on my friends list, but if I can, I'm going to make an attempt to try and get him in. I don't know if it's possible. Let's have a little look. Have I got him?
Whilst Andy's doing this, I think it's probably best for us to speak about the tyres which everyone's starting on in this race. Top four, as we know, all on the soft tyres. Yeah. Then from fifth downwards to about 13th place, Jason. Everyone's on mediums. Jason, interestingly, starts on the hard tyres. Then Rosberg on the mediums. Alpabol and Sierra both on hard tyres, and Feisty Tell at the back, who does start this race, on the medium tyres.
Yep, so a real mixture in tyres. I'm going to try one last chance to get Snazzy in here. I don't know how to do this on Xbox. No, I'm not going to get it. Okay, hopefully somebody else can get him back in. It's a shame if we lose him from the race. It would take away from one of the main contenders at the front. And Snazzy Evening left the session. OMG, it's Joe and Surprise. As you mentioned, they made contact on the formation lap at the first corner. So that's why they're back on the grid. That's why you're not seeing them make their way to the grid. Could what we saw, in qualifying, follow on into the race, James? Are they going to be able to keep a cool head? Because if they're not, and with Snazzy Evening out of position, and if they were to cause problems and run into each other, it could open a golden opportunity up for drivers that you wouldn't usually see at the front. So I'm sure the Mercedes team will be telling them, you guys have got to keep a cool head, because you could open the door for other people.
Absolutely, it could be quite an intense battle between these two Mercedes drivers. I'm looking forward to it. We're getting very close to lights out.
Yeah, we are. All the cars lining up on the grid now, and we're round number 4 in the championship. That's very far away. Give us a better view. There we go. Finally, here we go. The 5 red lights coming on. We're about to go racing in Baku. The lights out, and we're away. It's a short run to turn 1, and Joe easily leads from Veloci Surprise in second. A challenge there from Merceau, and Reynolds going right round the outside. Snazzy dropping backwards as you'd expect, and Langman to the spin in one of the racing points. So Langman facing the wrong way. Not a good getaway at all for the Racing Point, who qualified well in P7. OMG, it's Joe, leads them down the back straight towards turn 3. Surprise second, Merceau third, and the fast starting Reynolds is in fourth, but he's got Jam Pancakes right behind him. Relatively clean, but it was a big spin, wasn't it? Further down the field for Langman is in the midfield. There's plenty of scrapping going on. CRL Rosberg in there, going side by side. João Pedro battling with Jason there in the midfield, in the middle of that sector. So everyone keeping it clean. Sierra has a fine start, up to 12th place already, James.
Yeah, great start from the Brazilian. There's so much action in the midfield, and especially around here. This is one circuit you don't want to be starting towards the back of the field on. And he's managed to get away with it quite nicely. You say Langman also had that slight spin into the first corner. He's all the way at the back of the field, not as far back as Snazzy Evening, but this does open an opportunity for someone to snatch a surprise podium, perhaps, with the likes of Snazzy, Sierra, not at the front of the field. Terra Limitless isn't here this weekend, so there's so much opportunity for these guys to get some big points here today.
Absolutely, no doubt about that. Merceau holding on to that podium spot at the moment. He is one of the drivers who often is opportunistic and takes that chance, as Jam Pancakes has been overtaken by VSR and Famous. The Reynolds having a fantastic start to the Grand Prix, just as they did, I think it was in 2018 when they were battling with the Red Bulls in real life. A few things happening similar to real life here today so far, as they all make their way down the start-finish straight. Joe's almost opened up a second advantage as Jam Pancakes and P1R Brown look to be doing battle with VSR and Famous covers the inside. Jam Pancakes with that Haas-powered Ferrari trying to go right round the outside. Ferrari-powered Haas, I should say, and no, can't find a way through. And Famous holds on. Jam Pancakes stays where he is, and P1R Brown remains in 7th as Sierra makes up more ground and is up to 11th and is going side by side with Jason James.
Yeah, and he's on the long haul here. As I said, he starts on the hard tyres, so he's got a big race ahead of him now. A long stint on these hard tyres. Let's see how long he'll actually go in this race. And then there's a great battle up here for 5th place between Infamous, Jam Pancakes, people like Brownell up in there as well. Can't afford to get caught up in it though, because Sierra is rampant, and I'm sure he'll pass his teammate João Pedro with ease with a bit of team orders.
Yep, absolutely. We'll keep an eye on that. The two Brazilians working together in the Alfa Romeo team's good to see. The Brazilians coming across and racing in ILR. We love to see it. We love ILR to be a global league, and it's great to invite these guys along. If connection's good, no problem. Join us, come across. If there's any other Brazilians watching, feel free to join ILR. It's a really competitive, really exciting league, and I'm sure you'll see that in this race. Joe had opened out around a second advantage on that opening lap, but Veloci Surprise has clawed it back to half a second. I'm going to quickly shuffle up and keep an eye on that. And Joe and Surprise are very close together on the racetrack. Are we about to see two Mercedes dueling here in Baku, James?
Yeah, we may well do. Everyone seems to be whacking that curb, that left-hander sort of downhill. Vettel and Hamilton had their incident. Probably the better way to describe the corner. They keep whacking that corner, and as a result, they're losing so much traction on the exit. They're going so close to the wall, and here comes Surprise.
Yeah, Surprise is gaining and gaining on the back of OMG. It's Joe. Remember, they had that spat in qualifying a few moments ago where Joe blocked Surprise while being on pole position. Surprise sets the fastest lap with that huge slipstream and gets right up behind Joe. Gets the nose turned in very early for that first corner, and Joe knows he's under a lot of pressure here because Surprise is determined to get another win on the board. Coming out of turn 2 and now down that back straight, the two Mercedes very close together. They've already opened up a 1.4 second advantage over Merceau, but Surprise as they reach the brakes for turn 3 remains where he is as we shuffle down the order to that P1R Brown battle. And just behind that, in fact, we've got a Ferrari and João Pedro going round the outside. No, he's not. He's going to miss his way into the corner, outbrakes himself, goes off and has to do a little reverse, and thankfully doesn't do what Daniel Ricciardo did and reverses into another car and gets back underway again.
It'll be easy for Sarah to pass his team. I don't think it'll be quite that easy though. His teammate seemingly just going straight off the road. Sarah's now second behind Drelix, who started this Grand Prix on the medium tyres. He did qualify on the softs, had a really poor effort to be fair on the soft compound tyre, the Canadian. But yeah, it's going to be interesting now to see where Sarah, how much time he can make up. Maybe he's not well out the question for a podium yet.
Yeah, absolutely. Look how close this is here. Jason against Alper Ball going through the castle section. Jason really struggling. He's all over the place at the moment in the battle for P11, just on the fringes, just outside the World Championship points. And that Toro Rosso looks very, very quick. What do you see, James? Are you seeing anything else? Was it?
Yeah, I was just looking at the front of the field. Yeah, the front of the field, and Surprise getting a very, very sideways once again. And he's got a great run. This will be a great opportunity for him down into turn 1.
Well, let's have a little look at that then. I'm too busy watching elsewhere as we go down the start-finish straight. OMG, it's Joe still holding on. Surprise gaining and gaining. Around 2/10 behind. He is going to have an opportunity. The Mercedes going side by side in a turn 1 almost. Surprise thinks better off it. Holds his line and waits to maybe pounce down into turn 3. He thought about it, but there wasn't any way through. And Joe retains the lead for now, but he's a little bit deep there. And Surprise is definitely going to have a run this time. Joe just overcooked it a little bit going into turn 2, but he's gathered it all together and stays in position. Surprise, not interested in going up into rich mix. He's happy holding it down in lean, holding it in mode 0 on the ERS. No plan to make a move there from Veloci Surprise, and he holds his place. Let's have a look at the tyres. I'm sure you guys have had enough looking at the position change, and Sierra is the big mover, as you can see, on the hard compound. So he's going long on a set of hards. So what do you think is going to be happening there, James? Hards to softs then?
Hards to softs, it will be an easy one-stop. It's just how late he decides to go on those soft tyres. He's got to give himself enough time that when he gets on the softs, he can make an impact on them. Basically, like a last-minute substitution in football. You're not going to bring a striker on the 89th minute. You're going to bring him on a little bit beforehand, so he's got a bit of an impact if you're losing the game. Kind of similar to what Sierra's trying to do here, in a sense that he can't leave it too late, or else it just will be pointless for him to go on those soft tyres.
Yep, absolutely. It would be a total waste of time. He needs to make hay while the sun shines, and that means coming in at the optimum time so that your tyres aren't finished at the end, but you get plenty of life out of them to go attacking, and that's, I'm sure, what Sierra will try and do as he tries to cut the advantage that Surprise is probably going to take away from this Grand Prix. Damage limitation in the race after failing to set a time in qualifying as Drelix gets a big slide there coming out of the final rail corner on the racetrack. It's flat out from that moment on. I'm going to shuffle up the field a little bit because P1R Brown is back battling again with Jam Pancakes going down towards the first corner. That's such a long straight. I think it's the longest flat-out section of racetrack on the entire calendar from that final actual corner. We've got 2 moments of side-by-side action, and Famous up the inside of his teammate EVR Reynolds. Reynolds not really fighting it too hard. P1R Brown trying his best to attack Jam Pancakes, unable to, as we shuffle up to the 2 Reynolds, and there goes Famous up into the top 4. Reynolds down to 5th, but you've got to say Reynolds in general, he does run quite well around here, as there's only a 10th now between the top 2. Look at that.
Absolutely, those 2 runners really getting some good points on the board, but those 2 Mercedes, I've just watched them over the last couple of laps or so. Very, very reckless, I'd say. They seem very on the edge of the car. Joe especially seems to be getting that back end out enormously in the Mercedes at the moment. Not too sure why, but it just seems to be the case at the present time. Oh, Drelix is off.
Drelix is off. Yep, he's off and he's lost the front wing, so he's gone straight on into the wall. Not sure if there was contact with another car or just a misjudgment of his braking, but he has gone off the racetrack and taken the front wing clean off of that Scarlet Ferrari. So he'll need a pit stop, and it's going to be a long afternoon for him unless there is a safety car at some point. But we need to go back to the leaders, and here they are. Surprise, waiting for the moment. Is he going to do it now, or is he going to wait till later on in the race? It certainly seems like he's got an advantage, and Joe looks rattled, and he's going to go down the inside now. The 2 Mercedes side by side, and surprise, the Welshman dives through. The championship leader takes the place, and now OMG it's Joe is going to have a mega run on him though, but he has been rattled, he has been struggling through the corners. Joe, he's felt the pressure from Surprise. Now it's his turn to apply the pressure. Side by side down the straight. He's not going for the toe. Is he going for the pits? I think he is. Has he damaged that front wing, James, against the wall? Perhaps he has.
He was very reckless on through that corner again. He's just whacked the curb, and that's going to have cost him possibly even a part of his front wing here, as Infamous is once again close with his team. But there's Jam Pancake well, looking on the inside of the Reynolds in the Renault, who's got past him.
Wow, incredible. What action there is on this racetrack at the minute. Look at this, side by side through turn number 2. And Jam Pancakes sweeps round, right round the outside and says, see you later. And now P1R Brown wants to get involved. He fancies a slice of the cake. He's going down the inside of Reynolds. Reynolds breaks very, very late. Just about gets it turned in. Rushing up against the barrier. Awesome racing in the midfield, James. Love it. Love it.
Oh, it is brilliant, isn't it? When it comes off of these guys, it's the best racing you see in this field. It is epic stuff between the midfield guys, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how this race just sort of pans out with those guys. But Infamous has pulled out an enormous advantage against Jam Pancakes. He was right up with his teammate only a couple of laps ago. It's now 2 seconds between Jam Pancakes and Infamous.
This is crucial as well, James. He's tried to undercut OMG's Joe. It was an undercut attempt, but he's in traffic. He's right up behind VRL João Pedro, so this undercut is going to be difficult for OMG's Joe to make it work because he's stuck behind João Pedro, who is on 5-lap-old medium tyres. He needs to get that job done. Otherwise, the undercut is going to really not work at all for him. We get a yellow flag out there. Is that because Zelchi's retired? I'm not too sure. We have lost Zelchi, we have lost Drelix, and Snazzy Evening never got going due to a connection issue. So OMG's Joe is still up behind João Pedro. Can you have a look, James, up further up the field and tell me whether Surprise is aiming for the pits or not? Has he gone round again?
He's pit.
He's pit. Okay, well, we'll keep an eye on OMG's Joe for now. He's up behind João Pedro. He spent the whole middle sector behind him. Has that cost him the opportunity to get back ahead of Veloci Surprise? He's going to use an almighty toe down this back straight to try and make the move. He goes side by side now with João Pedro going down towards turn 1, and that should be easy pickings. But where is Veloci Surprise? He's on the pit exit. There is Joe now. Who's going to have the advantage? This is going to be so close. Veloci Surprise stays ahead of OMG's Joe. The traffic of João Pedro has cost Joe big time. There will be no need for Veloci Surprise to re-overtake. He's ahead, but he's not out of the woods yet because there's plenty of traffic up the road, and there is a car in the barrier. That's P1R Brown now, off the road, and Joe hits the wall and hits the front wing off again. Damage for Joe. He hits the wall again, and this time the wing is damaged, James.
Yeah, it's damaged again. He's just had so little grip in the opening stage of this race. He just hasn't had any rear downforce on that Mercedes. It's sliding all over the place. How is he managing to keep this car all together? I do not know, but a lack of downforce around this circuit, you would say, is a bit of an advantage, but it really, really isn't for MGS, who may even have to pit because his time, well, just his pace will just drop off so severely here for Mercedes. What an awful start for MGS Joe in this Grand Prix.
Yeah, not good at all. Baku can bite. There's no doubt about it. Baku bites, and it's bitten already for Drelix. It's bitten already, as you just saw for OMG. It's Joe, and just before that, P1R Brown. So Joe followed off P1R Brown in sympathy, distracted perhaps by the off of P1R Brown. Missed his braking point and slid off into the wall. And now João Pedro, who he's just overtaken, fancies coming straight back at him as they go down this straight towards the final corner. What will Joe do? Will he pit? Will he stay out? But this gives an even bigger opportunity for someone to get onto the podium. Perhaps two drivers to get onto the podium that wouldn't usually do it.
Whoa,
Joe now,
look at this.
Is surprisingly made a move up the road, and Joe stays out, and João Pedro should say thank you very much and take that place, and he does.
Rosberg and Rosberg, Reynolds, Jam Pancakes, and they're all in a major scrap here for what is second place technically in this Grand Prix. Rosberg's got ahead of him, and now Reynolds is looking on the attack of Jam Pancakes, is he? Oh no, it's the other way around. It's Serra on the inside, and he's got the move done on the Renault, really getting his elbows out, and he's managed to find a way through as the Brazilian. What a terrific move. Very, very on the limit, but I love that sort of racing.
Ballsy but brilliant from the Brazilian. Absolutely stunning. Serra dives past Reynolds and takes P4, and you've got to fancy that he will be one of the men getting onto the podium the way he's going at the minute. He's going like an absolute steam train out there. But I would imagine everyone else in that scrap are going to be fighting over that final podium spot. Or perhaps two podium spots, because we don't know what Joe's pace is going to be like. Surely he's just going to fall away and out of contention for the podium. We'll keep an eye on it, but we're only 8 laps out of 26 into this, and it is an absolute screaming of a race. Jam Pancake second, Rosberg third, Serra fourth and Reynolds fifth, but Infamous has got some serious pace. He's 3.8 seconds up the road.
He's doing a brilliant job, isn't he, in the Renault? I wouldn't even rule him out for a podium. I'm pretty sure he got very, very unlucky in the United States last season, where we had that titanic fight for what it was technically the World Championship back then. And Morso's got past Joe as well, so now Morso is technically second now in this Grand Prix in the Ferrari. Great stuff from him, but lovely to see Infamous right up the front, really pulling his weight about, and now Rosberg's got a move done on Jam Pancakes as well, so he's got through and surprises past Langman as well.
Oh, it's happening everywhere, James. I can't keep up with this. OMG, it's Joe had to back out of the throttle as well, going through the final couple of corners, the final few kinks, and let Jason through. The order is changing moment by moment here.
Oh, he's out.
Now Joe's out of the race. Has he hit the wall? I'm not too sure if he has.
I think he has.
Keep an eye out. Well, I'm on board with Feisty Ted, and I'm going to see a damaged car in a moment perhaps, or am I going to see him retire in the pits? I'm going to stay on board with Feisty Ted and find out for you guys right now. So, Feisty Ted, where does he pass Joe on the left-hand side? No sign of him, no sign of him. There he goes, he's passed him now, so it must have been in the pits.
Must have been. Very unusual for Joe, and it's not the sort of driver that we've become accustomed to see over late. You know, I mean, recently on 2019 hasn't really had the performances to back up what was a tremendous end to the back end of the 2018 game, but he just hasn't had that same level of pace as what we know he has. What he has got in the tank, and it's just such a shame to see. But Serra is right on the back now of Serra Rosberg, and these two, the pad meisters on this game, they're going to go head to head around Baku, and I'm properly looking forward to this, because hard tyres on Serra's car versus the wearing mediums on Rosberg. This could be an interesting one.
Yeah, Serra on the hard tyres. What a phenomenal stint he's putting together here. This is magnificent from Serra at the minute. And, you know, Rosberg as well, he's no slouch. What a start to the season he's had too. What a result he got in Baku, driver of the day brilliantly. And he's out of shape now, and this is going to be candy from a baby. Serra pulls alongside, and the Brazilian blast pass up into third position. Can Rosberg fight back? No, he's coming straight into the pits. He's had enough of those mediums. And I presume a set of hards going on that, because he can't get to the end on a set of softs from there. And the majority going on to hard tyres.
Yeah, it's hard tyres for Infamous as well, which means it does put into doubt those soft runners who have also all come in for the hard tyres. That could mean a bit of drama possibly towards the end of this Grand Prix, because their wear's going to be a lot more, but they pit earlier, so there could be punctures territory. We have seen it on this game. Punctures are possible. We saw it to Serra in Bahrain, probably the biggest case of that. So it's not completely out of the question. These guys are totally safe if they pit earlier for the hard tyres.
Serra has, I've got to mention this, Serra is putting an absolutely monstrous stint together here. He's going to be potentially going on, I don't know what he's going to go on to later on in this race, mediums or softs, but he's going to be coming roaring back at Veloci Surprise. Whether he'll have enough in the tank to get anywhere near him, but right now I think he's got to be the man to get the second place at the very, very least here. He is flying out there, and he's going to have the better tyres to come, James, isn't he?
Well, the thing is now for him, he's got this really weird decision where he's got freedom in what he decides to do and what tyres he decides to go on. Whereas everyone else has almost got a fixed sort of way. They were going to go on the hard tyres. For Sierra, he's got that option. Does he pit earlier, put on the mediums, hope that his pace is good for a longer stint? Or does he go for the softs and bolt it towards the end? There's two choices for him, but he's got to nail either one he does.
Well, he's about to nail an overtake on Jam Pancakes, I feel, because he's got a fantastic run. Pancakes looks like he's angling for the pit lane, perhaps. Let's keep an eye on that. Yes, he is. And Sierra flies past him and now into the lead of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. He started last. He didn't set a time in qualifying. Now, on lap 11 out of 26, he leads. But, crucially, he is yet to make a pit stop. There's the pit stop graph for you guys on the left-hand side. Veloci's Prize is your net leader, with Murso second and VSR and Famous third. Sierra, you would think, will be around third or fourth place. He'll be fighting with Famous, I think, depending on how well this stint goes for him. And then he'll be chasing after Murso, who could be on for a magnificent P2 here. Wow. This is coming together very nicely, isn't it?
Yeah, Infamous getting past Jason, who's on some 10-lap old hard tyres as well. He's in the same strategy as Sierra. So much strategy. This is what we were just talking about in qualifying. We need this strategy change. We love this because this is what makes or breaks a race. Because some races we have the same old strategy where not everyone's going to do, and it's vice versa. But this one, there's so much option available to these guys. Whether they'll try the two-stop, whether they'll decide, in which case for Sierra to start on the hards. There's so much variation, and that's what we need in league racing. We need a bit of this variation because it really does spice the racing really, really well.
Yeah, it keeps us commentators thinking on our feet as well. What's coming next? Is it going to be this strategy, this strategy? You know, we love it. It keeps everyone watching on the edge of the street as well. And OMG, it's Joe has just commented in the stream chat. I've never wanted to punch myself more. Well, I think that
surprise is out!
Oh my goodness me! That is, can anything else happen in this race? Veloci's Prize has disconnected from the Grand Prix. And I was just thinking that a moment ago. Can anything else happen in Baku? We had once a jock on pole position, remember, with Reynolds alongside him in the front row. Are we potentially about to crown a new winner in this series? Unless Surprise hurries up and gets back in this lobby, because Murso is only 3 or 4 seconds behind him, James. Wow!
It's a goosebumps moment, it really is. There's something amazing is about to happen here, and it could be in the form of the Northern Irishman, who's been rotten of luck in this league for so long. Is his chance finally going to come at a place where you would never ever have predicted it, or maybe you should have done, because this boy has got some talent and he's now going to have to prove to everyone that he has got the pace to hold off a charging Veloce Surprise, and first of all get past him. If he doesn't get back in, it's so crucial for Surprise. He cannot lose more points in this championship.
Reynolds has had a moment. He is out of the race. Surprise.
Bad news for Sarah. Also,
he's not back properly yet. He's only just joined the lobby. That's all he's done. He needs to get back in his car, and he's not in it yet. But I think he's going to have enough of a cushion to hold off Murso. But what I would be concerned about if it was Veloce's Prize is that gap opening out to Sierra a little bit more, who at the end of this race is going to be coming charging back.
I think I'd be very, very concerned about if I was surprised is the chance that might happen again. There's no, if it's happened once, why is to say it won't happen again? We've seen it a number of times with other drivers, and Surprise has got back of his car, but it's 3 seconds the gap then between Murso. That's going to give Murso so much confidence. He's got to feel there's an opportunity there for him to take in the Ferrari. Really big opportunity for someone here.
Absolutely, he's within penalty range as well. We can't forget that. Penalties are possible around Baku, a bit less likely because you can't really cut the corners, because if you cut them, you're taking the front wheel off. But it is possible, so we'll keep an eye on it, as Murso now is well within range of Veloce's Prize. You would fancy Surprise if he doesn't get disconnect again to carry on his merry way, but we've got to watch for Sierra here. 7 seconds ahead of Surprise at the moment, and yet to stop and putting on a much better set of tyres, James.
Absolutely, there's a lot that could happen here. I mean, I don't really know what to say at this moment, because Murso's going to be pushing like hell, but if he can keep it within the 3 second range, penalties, you say, can happen around this circuit. They're not completely out of the question, but it is quite difficult. more so doesn't ever get penalties. So it's one of those where we've got to look at both sides of the argument and think, well, anything can happen still in this race. Disconnect could have happened again, but we're only at the midway point. It's Sarah who leads from Surprise and Morso. But watch the boy behind Morso as well. Infamous seems to be on an absolute charge in the Renault.
Hold on, James. Look at this. I've never seen a move here. Well, I have now. Rosberg down the inside of Jason. Oh, that was beautiful. And he makes it stick and moves up into the top 5. Rosberg again carving his way through the field as he always seems to do. Moves up into P5. That was a lovely move. And he, Jason and Jam Pancakes continue their massive duel. And Jam Pancakes is going to run and Jason really struggling now on those 12-lap old tyres. I'm forgetting, of course, he, like Cedar, has yet to stop.
Yeah, there's a great old scrap going on down there, but Alpablau as well, who's actually pit and just come on to medium tyres. I'm not too sure what sort of strategy he's going to decide to do in the Toro Rosso, but he's 8th place at the moment, getting very close to the balls.
Yeah, and Jam Pancakes very close to the back of Jason there, nearly ripping the front wing off and destroying the diffuser of Jason, but he gets away with it. He's now right up behind him, and I feel this moment he's going to take that place away. Jason, is that an angling for the pit lane? I think it might be, and Jam Pancakes is going to go up now into the top 6, and Jason does indeed go down and into the pits. So let's refresh. Cera now leads on lap 14 out of 26. We've just gone beyond the halfway point. You wouldn't think it with all the action we've had so far, crammed into just 14 laps. He leads from Veloci Surprise. Cera started from last. He's yet to stop. He's got a 6-second cushion over Surprise. He's going to be coming charging back later on in the race. I guess he's going to rejoin around 4th or 5th position after his pit stop when he does decide to make it. Surprise, it's second. Merceau is net second in 3rd place at the minute with Infamous 4th. Zero Rosberg 5th, Jam Pancakes in P6. Finally, we've got a breath of fresh air. There's a pause in this Grand Prix where there's no close battles on the racetrack. But we're all thinking about what Cera's plan is and how soon he's going to make that pit stop. You feel, James, if he is going to go on the mediums, it'll be in the next couple of laps.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I would probably guess that he would go on the mediums. I think if you were wise, I think you would put the medium tyres on. I really don't think you'd risk the soft tyres. I really don't, because I think you're playing that waiting game, which I keep talking about, but you cannot leave it too late. And I think with the mediums, he has that option to sort of, we can go a lap longer on the hards, or maybe even a lap shorter, but you can get away with it. Exactly, you can get away with it on the medium tyres, but you can't do it on the softs.
Well, I'm interested to hear what everyone in the chat thinks. What would you do in Cera's situation? Would you be coming into the pits now and putting on a set of the medium compound, or would you leave it longer and go for a late charge on the softs? We're commentators, we don't race, you guys do. A lot of you guys do. What would be your thinking at this moment of time? We're interested to hear what you guys would do. Certainly seems though, James, that the majority of people quite like that the soft to hard compound, doesn't it, from the early point of the race. So maybe that's what Cera's going to do, just in reverse. I mean, a lot of people like medium to hard as well. Yeah,
I mean, to be honest, I've looked at Cera's pace over recent laps, and it's not been too bad compared to Surprise. I mean, Surprise taking some time out of the Alfa Romeo now, but it's not chunks, it's not huge time that he's gaining on the Alfa Romeo. He's really holding his own, Cera, here, and I would not rule him out at all. Even, dare I say, could even be challenging for the race win at this point. There's so anything can happen, but it could happen. He's got some great pace, those mediums. If he decides to go on them, if he decides to go on the softs, it's just ifs and buts at this moment in the Grand Prix. It's a really weird phase that we found ourselves in here.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a few people suggesting things. We've got, let's have a little look. We've got Gustavo Motto. He's gone for saying that he would go for the sauce. We've got Nuthead, a cracking commentator, Nuthead. He says he's going for the medium tyre. So that's what he fancies. But of course, as Nuthead just said, he's also a fellow commentator. So what do you go with? You don't know. But a few people suggesting Leopards comes in and says lap 15 or 16, Cera will jump onto the mediums perhaps. So let's wait and see. Francis, he says softs might be the one. So softs, mediums, it's a big split. And here he comes now. Here he comes now. Leopard looks like he was right. Medium tyres coming on, surely, for Cera. Let's keep an eye on this as he comes down the pit lane. I'm looking out the commentary box window. What stripe of tyres are they? They are yellow ones, I think. And into the pits he comes, and away he goes, the yellow stripe mediums, and now Cera begins the chase, James.
Yeah, the race is on, as it were. He's got to get his foot down because he's got some track ahead of him in the form of Infamous, more so. And then, of course, the guy that they all want to beat, Veloce Prize, can the Brazilian get back-to-back wins in this league? Would be some feat. It really would. Considering he started from the back of the grid, it would be very much up there with the Tiro Limitless win at the British Grand Prix of last season, where Limitless came from the back and won. It could well be a similar fate here. He's got a big sort of gap to watch himself. It's 10 seconds to Surprise in 10 laps. So you know, well, you can do the maths. You know exactly what he needs to do. But he's got to do a bit more than what you think. He's got to do a bit more than a second a lap. He's got to be properly on it.
Yeah, and he's got to make the move as well. Wow, yeah. This is going to be interesting. Interesting to say the least. I mean, Surprise tyres, the hards are going to be 19 laps old, James, at the end of this race. Is he going to have the grip at the end of the race, Surprise, to hold off Sira? It's already 9.7. This guy's got an opportunity here to win from the back of the grid. This is astonishing.
Oh yeah, oh. It could happen. It's going to be nip and tuck. I think it really is. But you've got to remember, he's got to pass Infamous, who's not had a podium in this league. He's got to pass Morso, who won't give up a second place in this league. Then he's got to pass Surprise, who won't give up a win in this league. So he has got some task ahead of him. All of the guys in front of him have got some major credentials to themselves, but 9 seconds after one lap on those medium tyres on his out lap, this boy could, well, we could be seeing some blistering pace right now.
Oh, everyone watching, strap yourselves in, buckle up. This is going to be some finale to round number 4 of the championship, the Azerbaijan Grand Prix here in Baku. Well done, Baku. Well done. You provided another absolute cracker. Well, if you're watching, be sure to let your friends know that they need to tune into the remaining 9 laps of this Azerbaijan Grand Prix here in ILR1, because it is going to be thrilling. Can Sira pass Infamous? Can he pass Merceau? And can he go chasing after the championship leader of Veloce Prize as P1R Brown has retired from the race? And that now means that everyone in the top, well, there's actually 11 cars left. I thought there was 10, so I was going to say that everyone's going to get points. That's not true, but wow. Quite an attrition rate here in ILR1. We've lost Brown, we've lost Reynolds, we've lost Joe, we've lost Selchi, and of course Drelix, and Snazzy Evening never got going as he disconnected. What can Sira do? 8.6! 8.6! Yeah. It's coming down rapidly!
I'm telling you now, Andy, this boy isn't pushing. He's not pushing yet. I really don't think he is. I'm not saying that because it sounds arrogant when I say it, but honestly, he's short shifting through some corners. At the back straight after turn 2, he didn't even get to 8th gear. He's not pushing. He cannot be pushing if he's hitting only 7th gear, and he wasn't even on the limiter.
Sira or Surprise?
Sira.
Oh. He's already on the tail of
grip.
This is astonishing. This is astonishing. Someone, I have to say, someone did say in the chat earlier on that Sira could still win this race. I'm going to look back and see who said it. Gustavo Mota said this. He said this in around, wow, 40.9. Gustavo Mota, he said this in the chat around lap 5 or something like that. These Sira can still win this race. Get the crystal ball out. What's going to happen next? Oh, he can win it.
This would go down in some fight. Would be something unbelievable. It's not over yet though, folks. We've got a long way to go yet. But 7 seconds to the leader in, what is that, 8 laps? It is very doable. It could even be a Stroll Bottas moment right on the line. It could be that close. And I would be loving that. I'm telling you, I think everyone would be loving that, to be honest.
Oh, well, I wouldn't say that was, I mean, that is very possible. We are talking, after all, about ILR. It happens a lot. Crazy things happen from time to time. What I will say is that this has not helped Sira. He's caught Infamous at the wrong part of the lap. He would have wanted to catch him just as he started going down that back straight. He's had to follow him for a full sector and a bit. It's almost like a wasted lap, this one, James, isn't it?
But he can save.
I still feel he's got something in his pocket.
He can save ERS and he can save fuel being behind this car. It's not a disaster, but you're right, he does need to get on with it. This is a perfect opportunity. And he pretty much, I'm going to be honest with you, he has to go for this. He has to take this opportunity.
Yep, now or never, and you've got to feel he's going to have to flick this up into mode number 4 or 5. Overtake is active. He's gaining. DRS open, and Sira moves past Infamous, snatches the podium spot away, agonising for the Renault driver, and Sira is up into 3rd place, and with 7.5 laps, well, 8 laps to go. Is it 8? 8 laps to go, I think. He is
7.
now.
All right,
7,
yeah.
sorry, I can't do my maths. Yeah, forget it. My maths is shocking. He's 7.3 behind. Can he get there? Oh, here we go. Brilliant, loving this, absolutely loving this. I'm briefly going to take a little break from this and go back to Jam Pancakes against Alper Ball, because they are locked in a fantastic little scrap, aren't they, James? Over 6th and 7th.
I don't think I've ever watched a race with Jam Pancakes where he's not been in a fight with someone. He is always battling someone. It's great for him, and it's actually great for him for a streaming purpose, because he must go back on streams and go, yeah, I'm going to be in the stream because I've done a lot of racing, and he definitely does. So I'll give him a lot of credit for that. But Alphabot's had a bit of a stint here again on those medium tyres. He actually got past Jam Pancakes down the main straight, and it looked pretty straightforward from what I could see on my screen. And well, the Toro Rosso into 6th place. Yeah,
good stuff. Yeah, great performance so far from him. Up into 6th place. Jam Pancakes, who was right up there earlier on, seems to have faded out of it a little bit, James, hasn't he? He's dropped through the field and dropped away from the likes of Infamous and Rosberg, who he was battling earlier. So maybe not enjoying himself out there in those hard tyres, perhaps.
Perhaps. I mean, it's a bit quiet. It's for Rosberg in a race in ILR. It's very quiet, isn't it? I mean, again, he's one that you always see. He's got absolutely everything going on all the time and everyone around him all the time. And he's just not had that sort of race here today. He's just been very quiet, got on with his race, but he's had a really good drive considering where he's starting on the grid.
Yeah, I mean, look at the position changes so far. Rosberg up 9, but I think the big talking point is he's been outdone this time as Sira pumps in another. Fastest lap of the Grand Prix, 140.9 in the mediums. No sign of those tyres dying off, is there? As Langman now is lining up a move to take P8 away from the RL João Pedro going into turn 1, and the Racing Point says thank you very much, I'll take that on the inside, and through he goes up into P8. João Pedro though cutting back on the exit, trying to come straight back at him into turn 2, not quite close enough, and Langman has the position, he has the tyre life, and he has P8. Through he goes. Lovely stuff.
I wish, well, to be honest, I wanted to see what Langman was able to do if he hadn't spun on the opening lap of this Grand Prix, because actually his pace again hasn't looked awful, but in China it wasn't that bad either. He actually had some pretty good pace. I think he was either 5th or 6th in China, so that's a really good effort considering he's coming from ILR2 and he races in the Seagulls basically now. I think he's sort of a reserve driver as Langman, but starting to prove his worth once again. He had a bit of a lull in league racing, he's coming back with a vengeance, and it's great to see.
Yep, absolutely. So let's have a look now. Lap 20 out of 26. Sira half a second behind Murso. That equates to 6 seconds behind Surprise. Goodness me. Oh, he's made a mistake. He's hit the wall. And that is front wing damage. And that could be the end of that for Sira. He hits the wall. And in his push, in his charge to try and take the win, it looks like it's all going to go pear-shaped for him. He's having to back out of the throttle there. And has that freed up Murso to take P2 now? Well, I don't know, because it's going to be close. That could equalise it a little bit now. 4 lap mediums against 13 lap hards, but Sira damaging the front wing, and he will be gutted.
Yeah, I think a lot of people will be gutted in the chat as well, because his pace was so good. He's been so quick on those medium tyres, and oh, that is such a pain. Not even for him, but it's for us as well. It's such a nuisance that he's got that damage. He may even still get past more so here, but that is just the resilience of a driver he is. And speaking after, whoa, he's getting close. Nearly went straight to the back of the Ferrari there. Gets so light on the brakes, he just doesn't seem to have that front end grip anymore.
Yeah, he's going to struggle from this moment on, I would think. Yeah, I would say he should have enough pace to hold on to P3, such as his tyre life advantage, but can he now attack Murso? I'm sure Murso will be being fed the information from the infamous and unreliable Jeff. Maybe not, because we know what Jeff's like, the team radio. But if he has been fed that information, it will give him a little confidence boost that Sira might not have the full use of that Alfa Romeo car. So it's Surprise now off the hook, you could say. I suppose that's fair, given he disconnected from the Grand Prix, and you know that's going to equalises it out a little bit. Not his fault he disconnected. Sira's fault he hit the wall, and Joe's fault he hit the wall. So it's a lot of Surprise showing how strong a driver he is, and he had so much pace earlier on in the Grand Prix, James, didn't he? And he was all over the back of Joe. And Joe looked rattled, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, and sometimes I think that is the difference between these guys and can be. Surprise just doesn't seem to make these big mistakes. It's just very much a luck sort of playing field with him. And here comes Sarah on the attack of Morso, and he is going to take second place in this Grand Prix, but we don't know for how long. That front wing is in a bad way for the Alfa Romeo, but he does get past the Ferrari-powered Ferrari, of course, and up into second place in this Grand Prix. 6.1 seconds is the gap now between himself and Surprise. With only 4 laps to go, it seems very, very unlikely at this stage.
Yep, very, very unlikely. We'll keep an eye on it, see if he can continue to cut the gap down, as João Pedro has repassed Langman, so a little bit of a ding-dong battle going on there between those two. So João Pedro back up into 8th, Langman back down into 9th, and Alper Ball looks like he's gaining back on CRL Rosberg. So a couple of little scraps going on further down the field at the moment. Sierra's charge looks to have been halted, but I want to ask everyone in the chat, I want to ask everyone watching, I'm going to ask you as well, James, do you think he would have got there? Do you think Sierra could have got there and won this race, or was it a tall order? It's so hard to answer.
It's a tall order, wasn't it? I mean, I think without the wing damage on that lap, you'd have probably felt that he would have passed Morso that lap, because he was so close to him, he surely would have passed him. But it's hindsight, isn't it, really? We don't know what could have happened, and for him, and he's going to be a bit gutted because he doesn't know either, but in the same way he can't be gutted because he didn't know what would have happened even if he didn't get the wing damage. So it's one of those sorts of races for Sarah, unfortunately, and well, it's just been one of those afternoons where luck has favoured the brave, really, and on this occasion it's just not gone in the way of the Brazilian.
Well, it's a shame. I personally think he would have. Yeah, I agree with what you were saying about Morso. If he hadn't hit the wall on that lap, he would have got him, and he would have been up and down the road. But as you said, you know, hindsight, wonderful thing. You have to keep it on the island, don't bounce off the barriers, especially at Baku, because as I said earlier, Baku can bite. And unfortunately for Sierra, it's not going to work today, but it's still a phenomenal drive to come from the back of the grid up into P2, and you know, what could have been even better than that, astonishing performance. He is still gaining, believe it or not, on Surprise, but I'm pretty sure Surprise is not having to push too much. He's got it all under control up front, as Alper Ball gets very close to the back of CRL Rosberg. Are we going to see, pardon me, a potential move there for 5th and 6th? Perhaps we will.
Perhaps we will, but Alper Ball's on 11 lap old medium tyres there, so he's coming quite close, you would think, to the sort of cliff of these medium compound tyres, so he won't be in a good way towards the end. Goodness me, he's sliding that Toro Rosso around everywhere. It could be interesting to see how he can finish, but it's been a great drive from him as well. He's not been in this top tier very long. I don't think I've ever commentated on him before, so he's done a very good job up there in 6th place for Toro Rosso.
Absolutely, so he's doing a fine effort, keeping it all on the island where others have failed, especially the big names like the likes of OMG. Joe, and he gets very close to the wall here. As I say that, Alper Ball pushing to the limits. Very nearly a Charles Leclerc moment there, but he's keeping it within the track and pushing hard, and that's what we love to see, drivers going right on the limit. But of course, we saw this in Bahrain, James. Punctures are possible. Yeah. Will Surprise be running close to that situation come the end of the race? You just don't know, and anything can happen at Baku, and it usually does, and we've seen that so far today.
Yeah, and you're right, these punctures, we've seen them before, and I'm really concerned because these soft tyres, I'm not sure what the tyre wear is like around here, but beginning the race, people I had spoken to were saying a two-stop could happen. Like, if a two-stop could happen, you know.
Yep, hold on, James, sorry to come across. There goes Alper Ball down the inside on CRL Rosberg. He's made it work. Rosberg clouting the curb there as he tried to come back on the exit, unable to do so, and Alper Ball continues this fine performance and moves up into the top 5, and at the moment is collecting 10 World Championship points. Lovely stuff, as Jam Pancakes looks to have a second win, James. He's gaining on them and could join that little group and make it a trio.
Could well do. There's a couple of little battles now eventually forming in the form of Morso and Infamous. Those two are getting very close together for the final podium spot. That would be a great result for either, because both of them had a bit of a rotten start and they would want to settle down with a podium. Would be a great result for one of those two. Rosberg trying immensely to get back past that Toro Rosso, though, locked his wheels going into the left-hander, who's really under pressure from Racing Point now.
Yep, and there's no doubt about it. Jam Pancakes, who was threatening to join that group, is now there. There is the Haas driver. We go on board now as they funnel their way through that castle section, the most narrowest point of the Formula 1 calendar, followed by the Anderson Bridge in Singapore. which was very narrow as well, but nowhere near as narrow as that. I mean, that is incredible. I can't believe, when they first came to Baku and I saw that corner in Friday practice, I was like, are you serious? Are you serious? I can't believe in Formula 1 we haven't seen it. We've seen everything in Baku, but that's one thing that we haven't seen, a big crash and pile up and a red flag at the castle section in Formula 1, but I'm sure we'll see it one day. No doubt about that, as Surprise continues to lead by 5.3 seconds. But yeah, as you were saying, James, before I cut across you earlier about tyres, 2 stops were possible, weren't they?
Yeah, I mean, I did hear it. It was a slight rumour, but I wasn't absolutely certain. I would be very surprised, as I said, the 2-stop did occur. But if it's that sort of marginal, if we're even considering a 2-stop, I mean, there's got to be some sort of margin here to suggest that actually it's not really a set in stone sort of race from soft to hard tyres. I really don't think it's going to be as straightforward this race as what many people have predicted.
Absolutely, no doubt about that. I mean, if you can 2-stop it, then why would you risk running soft to hard? And here goes Jam Pancakes down the inside on CRL Rosberg. Very, very close between the two, and he looks to have muscled his way through. That was tidy stuff from Jam Pancakes. He had to be brave on the brakes, and that's exactly what he was. And he dances past Rosberg and up into the top 6. Tidy stuff. And through he goes. And Rosberg, who was looking like making the progress earlier, is now the one that's fell away at the end in the tyres, perhaps dying on that racing point. 15-lap-old Hardens beginning to struggle as Veloci Surprise further up the road is not far away from starting his final lap. Let's have a look at those tyres, James. It's difficult to really tell how they're looking, but at the moment he's keeping it all together, and as is Murso, who's on similar age of tyres as well. So I would think, and I don't want to create a commentator's curse here, I think he should be okay because he's been able to nurse it the last few laps.
Yeah, he should be able to do it. He's been very smooth these last few laps of Surprise. Very impressive stuff. But that podium battle will rage on the final lap of this between Morso and Infamous, and a big morale boost for one of these two. Fresher mediums, or say fresher hards for Infamous, some by some 3 laps here. But is that going to make the difference? I'm not too sure. I don't think he's going to be close enough to Morso, but I may have to eat my words come the end of the lap.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll keep an eye on it. And Famous going for a late charge. This could be a cross the line manoeuvre here for VSR and Famous.
Jam Pancakes in the wall.
Oh, is he? Let's have a look.
Yeah, he lost it out of turn 1. He got out the wall, but he must have gone so deep into turn 1 because he was coming out the escape road, which is not really where you want to be coming from, I'll be honest, through turn 1 here. But Rosberg will most likely now finish in 6th place if everything goes to plan. But 6 seconds the gap between Sierra and Surprise. And
that's a mistake. Yeah, Langman making a mistake there, and they're both going to have to reverse out of there. That's going to be Langman using his head, getting very smart there, reset to racetrack instead of reversing, and gets himself back ahead of João Pedro. That was wow. That was interesting to say the very least. The two of them overshooting it there. João Pedro couldn't turn in, and that's what happened. But we need to go to the race leader, Veloci Surprise, who survived the scare in qualifying as he and his teammate collided, and then in the race was able to survive a disconnect, and with the charging Sira hitting the wall and damaging his front wing, Veloci Surprise was faultless. Not even a disconnect could stop him from coming round the final few corners here in Baku. It's been another crazy race, but Veloci Surprise comes up towards the finish line and makes it 3 wins in 4 races. Surprise wins in Baku. Fantastic performance from the Mercedes driver. Sira from the back of the grid puts in arguably a driver of the day performance for second. It could have been so much more, but Murso just at the end is going to finish ahead of Infamous for third. Another fine podium finish for CRG Murso. Hamper Ball with a fine 5th place. Rosberg 6th, and Jam Pancakes with that error on the final lap comes home in 6th, sorry, because Rosberg had penalties. Rosberg 7th. Langman ahead of João Pedro in 8th. That one will be an interesting one in the steward's room after. And Jason is going to come home for the final point in 10th. What a race. I really enjoyed that one, James. I presume Sira gets your driver of the day award, or are we giving it to Surprise for perfection?
There's a few contenders for driver of the day. To be honest, Sira's got to get it. He did have a pretty faultless race. He had the fault in the race, but he had a pretty stellar drive to come from where he did. Jason getting points, actually, and getting an aided point to that because he got the fastest lap of the Grand Prix on the final lap of the Grand Prix. Lovely stuff from Jason. Knows how to score points, apparently. And in the Red Bull, 10th. That'll give you 2 points for him now. Very, yeah, as you say, just manic race. A lot of the midfield getting some really, really good results. Very much like Germany a couple of weekends ago in real life Formula One, where the midfield teams really did come into their own, and it's been the same way here. A lot of the guys who have been running outside the podium spots have really fought well to get some big points here today.
Absolutely. And there they are, up on the podium. Veloci surprise. Fantastic performance for the Mercedes man on the top step here in Baku. Takes the victory. Can anyone stop him this season? OMG, it's Joe not having a fine start, but Sira certainly mounting a challenge. What could he have done today had he not damaged that front wing? What could he have done if he started near the front? A fine performance from him as well to come home second. And CRG Murso, the Northern Irishman, always good to see up in the podium. A fan's favourite. Fine performance from the Northern Irishman to come home in third. But James, it's time for you, first of all, to run us through the order and then take us to the podium interviews.
Absolutely, so as you said, surprise winning the Grand Prix, despite the disconnect winning, Sira second in the end from the back of the grid. That's just a tremendous effort, really is a tremendous effort, can hold his head high after that result. More so, third on the road in the end, and again, he had a very solid weekend indeed, it has to be said, for the Northern Irishman. Fourth in the end, it's going to be a little bit hard done by the fact that he was on the podium and he's been there or thereabouts this weekend. Had again a very fine effort in fourth. Alphabal fifth, Jan Pancake sixth, Rosberg seventh, Langman in eighth, João Pedro in ninth. Jason rounds out the top 10, Feisty Edwards 11th, and the final finisher out of 16 starters of this Baku Grand Prix. I won't go through the list, but there's a fair few. Joe being the most notable after his incidents on the first few laps of the Grand Prix with apparently no grip on his tyres, 14th and DNF'd. We look forward then towards the podium interviews, and that's exactly what we'll do now, so I don't drag on any longer. We go to Josh, or surprise, as everyone knows him in the chat. Win number 3 out of 4. It's been a pretty good start to the season, but it wasn't almost the qualifying session you were, I guess, hoping for, because that was a bit of a mess with yourself and your team, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't know what happened. For me, it just looked like it was Toro Rosso. He wasn't really on the apex, but he was definitely really distracting. I think it was João Pedro. But yeah, so that Joe had to slow down. And then yeah, he just said he didn't see me coming behind him. It was pretty annoying, but you know, what can you do?
Yeah. Well, I suppose it's one of those things, and again, during the race, of course, he had a pretty good effort. Joe looked a bit slidey the first few laps, a bit behind him, and of course the disconnect occurred. It must have been a moment where you really did, your heart must have sank at that sort of moment, just going, oh god, I'm not going to lose like this, surely.
Yeah, and especially because when he broke his wing, he asked me if he could go lap 5, because he broke his wing, and normally I would have said no, because the drop-off in the soft tyre between lap 5 and 6 is a lot, maybe 1.5 plus seconds, so I really wanted to go lap 5. But I didn't, I let him go, and he didn't change his wing anyway, so. And also, obviously, that disconnect cost me quite a bit of time. I genuinely thought Sira was going to catch me and beat me, just because I lost so much time, but luckily, the hard tyres get quicker. So the race goes on, and then Sira's mediums start to lose a bit of pace. So I got a bit lucky there, and I think he was held by Morso for a lap or two, so yeah.
Well, I'm going to come in there, I'm just going to say Sira actually damaged his front wing. I think he would have been right close. I think me and James were unsure of how to call it, but he damaged his wing, didn't he, James? And, you know, he could quite easily have got there to come the flag. It would have been really close, it really would have been.
Yeah, I was saying to Andy during commentary, it would have been, I think, pretty much could have been nip and tuck. I mean, we're going off of the basis that he'd have gained the same amount of time throughout the remainder of the race, which is, you know, sometimes a bit ludicrous to say, sometimes it isn't. But it could have been a good race. It was a good race anyway, but it could have been even better. But nonetheless, 3 out of 4 wins to start this season. It's I wouldn't say it's been an easy start for you, but you've certainly managed to come through it with pretty fine colours.
Yeah, it's just having good pace and staying consistent. I learned a lot from last game and the last few seasons. Yeah, now I'm just making sure I'm always at the top 3. So I'm not in any of the midfield battles, getting my wing taken off and stuff like that. and it's working out so far. But it's definitely not easy. Like every single race, Australia, Bahrain, and now, Sarah's always been right behind me. Obviously, China, he beat me as well. So maybe if Sarah wasn't here, it'd be a bit easier. But he is. So
He's a threat. He's definitely a threat. And congratulations on the win. Let's move to second place, Sarah, who from the back of the grid gets commentator's driver of the day. So keep that to yourself, because we don't have trophies, unfortunately. And we don't. But again, it was 20th to 20th to second. It was the back of the grid to second place. I think it was 17th or 16th in the end. So it was a pretty good drive, or amazing drive, really. Just what sort of your mindset going into the race then, because you're starting 16th, qualifying's not gone the way you wanted it to, and you've decided, okay, I'm going to start on the hard tyres. Why the hards compared to everything else? I mean, it seemed like a good call now, but why did you decide to make that decision?
Well, first of all, thanks for the words, and qualifying was just far away from what I expected. I mean, I just crashed in every single lap that I just tried, and then when it started the session, I was with no game sound, so I just left and returned to the lobby. And in the end, I've just decided to go back to the pits and try something different, because I know I just practiced with all the three compounds, the pace and the softs and the mediums and the hards, and my gap between my medium pace and my hard pace was 2-3 tenths per lap. So I just imagined that in the end of the race, in the medium tires, I'll be so much quicker than the other drivers. And I was just trying to get the opportunity of everyone to overtake. I mean, Legman spun, Star, Joe retired, Reynolds retired, Brown just lost the apex in the turn 3, Pedro lost the apex in turn 3, and I was just trying to use this momentum to gain positions and try to get back into the race. And when I saw me behind Morso, I just saw that I could catch Surprise and try to battle for the win because of my pace. I was in the low 41s and high 40s. So, but in the lap 20, I didn't just touch the curb in the way I just wanted, and just throw my front wing to the wall and have wing damage. But I'm not going to complain. It's a good result apart from last place, but could have gone a little better.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you touched on it there. Basically, it's like you do really feel that you may have had the pace to actually catch Surprise on those medium tyres, because it looked pretty stellar pace at in the beginning of the medium stint.
I mean, I don't know, because when I just damaged my wing was 7 laps to go, if I'm not mistaken. And gap to Morso, from Surprise to Morso was like 4 seconds, and I was more than a second faster per lap. And when I just, after my wing damage, Surprise started to make in the house of 41. So I don't know, maybe I could challenge him for the win, because I don't know how much pace I would lose with no wing damage and just pushing to the fair share. But yeah, maybe. Who knows?
Absolutely. No, I congratulate you on your second place finish, and I'm not going to commiserate you on second place, because it's a tremendous drive regardless. And well, just an effort, and we look forward to Spain. And we go to Mr. Morso in third place, and well, it's been a while since you've been on an ILR podium, but you must be chuffed with that result. It's a great effort.
Yeah, very. I think quali was decent, because well, there was only, I think, 4 of us on the soft tyre at the front, so I knew that the strategy going into the race, starting in 4th, was just to try and keep up with Joe and Surprise, and well, but easier said than done. I think they left me about 2 seconds first 3 laps, and then in a comfortable 3rd, and then yeah, I had to pit. I think I pit lap 6, and yeah, I was tempted to go another lap or 2, but the drop off was insane, so I had to come in, and I think that's where I lost a bit of ground to Surprise. I think there was about 3 cars in between us. It got caught in traffic after I came out of the pits, but yeah, overall I can't complain. As you said, it's been a while since I've been on the podium. I thought Infamous was going to get me at one point. He was reining in quite a lot towards the end. My tires started to die, but yeah, luckily held on. Just was no match for Surprise out front, and Sarah as well on the alternate strat. So yeah, I think third was the best I could have achieved today. And yeah, congrats to Surprise and Sarah. They're class above, and they're 1-2 in the championship for a reason.
Absolutely. I mean, the one question I didn't ask Surprise, which maybe I should have done, was actually the Because a lot of you started, 4 of you started on the soft compact tyres, and only 2 of the top 4 actually, I'm pretty sure, finished the race. I could be wrong. Actually, Snazzy didn't even start. So, you went from softs to hards. I mean, was it close on the tyres towards the end of the race? Were the tyres really at their peak at the end of the race?
For me personally, I think in terms of performance, yeah, the rears are struggling, but I think it wasn't quite near puncture territory, so could have hards could have went for me another 4 laps, I think, but obviously the pace would have been a bit below usual. But yeah, the thinking in qualifying was I'm not usually that strong in qualifying, and I knew it was close between the 2 strategies, and I didn't want to risk being mid-pack at the start of the race, so I just gambled on softs and tried to get as close to the front as possible, and yeah, it worked out pretty well in the end, getting the podium.
Absolutely. Well, in which case then, I mean, that's all I've got to add. Congratulations on the 3rd place more, so well done. And,
Thank you.
well, we move on to the Spanish Grand Prix, Andy, and a racetrack which has certainly thrown up some chaos in the past.
Yeah, of course, I remember that one where, well, I didn't actually turn up for it, but I remember many people talking about it, the one that Danny M7 won.
Yeah.
I think it was from charging all the way through back on F1 2017. But I just want to ask Murso one question briefly. Murso, what was going through your mind when you were running P2 and Veloci's prize had disconnected from the session? What was your mindset there?
Yeah, I mean, I always knew he was going to get back in, but my thinking was that if I could catch up and get within his DRS, and then he could throw me along. That was the thinking. But unfortunately, I couldn't quite get close enough. But yeah, there was a sniff of the win at one point, I guess. But I knew I wasn't going to have the pace to live with him at all. It's annoying in the sense of the race because my race pace is a bit slower compared to when I was practicing. I think I was just taking Castle a bit too cautiously and losing a few pins, but yeah, I'm still happy with it.
When he says sniff of an opportunity, what he actually means is when Surprise disconnected, he goes, "I'm actually going to win. I'm actually going to win." And then that brief second afterwards, he's gone, "Okay, no, it's not going to happen." So.
Well, what I'll say is we got a bit excited in the commentary box. I'm not going to say that much. We got a bit excited. But yeah, really enjoyable race. Plenty happened, and yeah, James, I cannot wait to get going again in Spain because Baku, as always, delivers something crazy. And at times in that race, I didn't know which way it was going to go. It looked like Sierra was going to come charging through from nowhere and snatch it at the end. But, it wasn't to be. Surprise, kept it all under control. Only a disconnect threatened his win, but he was just in fine form. Didn't put a foot wrong, and he makes it 3 wins out of 4. And, it's going to be tough for Sierra to catch him, but he's showing some fine pace. And I can't wait to see them do battle next time out in Spain. That's all from me. That's all from James. That's all from the guys on the podium here this weekend. Well done to them, and well done to the driver of the day, Sierra, as well. It's time to go. It's time to get ready for the next week. Join us at the same time, 7:30, for the Spanish Grand Prix. Goodbye.